Students, let's discuss the central idea of the poem. The poem A Thing of Beauty from John Keats' poem Endymion is usually read as a straightforward assertion, which has the central idea that any beautiful thing gives unending pleasure. This idea can be interpreted in several diverse senses, for the reason that human beings share the same basic natures and respond to same motivations in the basic ways. A thing of beauty, even if lost for a time, perhaps even for centuries, will still have the ability to give joy to future generations if it is experienced again later. A beautiful thing is happiness forever. Whatever happens, we cannot hate a really beautiful thing. Even when it fades, decays, or dies, we love such things without any conditions. It will never be lapsed even after its death, 1,000 or 2,000s later. When we live when we live enclosed by beautiful people, places, and things, our minds will be refreshed and will have sweet dreams while sleeping. As a further result, we will have good health and quiet breathing. Now, theme of the poem. The poem, in many ways, signifies a romantic finale of Keats' firm belief in the non destruction of beauty and of its claim to legitimacy with reference to its permanence and its ability to call up or contextualize the truth. This forms the main theme of the poem. The poet's artistic view of beauty as an obstinate source of pleasure, joy comes in the face of knowledge of the sharp problems of life to which the essential thing of beauty offer their own mode of struggle. Unlike the commonplace objects of everyday certainty, the objects of beauty are resistant to the perishability of time and indeed of immortality. This interlaces the melancholic note characteristic to many of the poet's odes with classical fleeting form of beauty. Their power rises with time. They are the signifiers of continuity that is reflected as historical truth of a story that exceeds the limitations of specific insight but includes and decides collective form. The sun, the moon, the flora and fauna in nature are protectors of an infinity that can never be equated with temporariness and inconstancy of human schemes. Now, tone of the poem. In this poem, Endymion, the mythical character, has a tone of desire for romantic self transcendence that aims at fusing his own self with embarrassment of comic creations. It is perception of the viewing subject of critical mind which is responsible for his own well being. We should ideally aim at a balanced synthesis of his own egoistic feelings with the donated borrowings and emotional provisions of beauty. There is a personal unity which is more complicated than Wordsworthian notion of pantheism. The stipulated state of mind that turns its own prejudice on the gaze of nature's demonstrates the idea of negative capability as proposed by the scholar poet. Well, students, after understanding the poem, its poetic devices, and explanation, let's have a quick look at the question answers from the textbook. First question, list the things of beauty mentioned in the poem. What are the things of beauty mentioned in the poem? The sun, the moon, shade provided to us by old and new trees, daffodil flowers, the clear streams, musk roses growing on dense forest ferns, the stories of brave men and women who have sacrificed their lives. These are the beautiful things which are mentioned in the poem. Now, another one, list the things that cause suffering and pain. Feelings of hopelessness, pain, discouragement, the cruel people in the world, the lack of people with good morals, People experiencing dark, sad, depressing days, people living with poor health, people who have chosen to do evil in the world and have gone down a dark path. These are the list of the things which cause suffering and pain. Now, moving towards another question, what does the line, therefore, are we wreathing a flowery band to bind us to earth, suggest to you? What does this line actually suggest? See, children, beautiful things constantly provide us with joy and happiness. That has been already discussed with you, right? And we collect such things of beauty every day until it becomes a chain of beautiful events that reads us, which gives us a sense of purpose and belongingness to our earth. Now, another question, why is grandeur associated with mighty death? Many brave men and women in the history have fought valiantly and sacrificed their lives in the battlefield. The stories of such people are beautiful to read and will never be forgotten. The legacy that they have left behind is big and beautiful. It is grandeur that is associated with the mighty dead. The grace, the grandeur, the mightiness with which they have sacrificed their lives are actually a thing of beauty because they always bring joy and hope for good things in our lives. Next question is, what makes human beings love life in spite of trouble and suffering? There are so many sufferings and troubles in life. Still, all of us are in love with life. So, what makes us love our lives? When our days are dark and gloomy, filled with troubles and sufferings, some form of beauty is capable of moving the dark clouds of hopelessness away from our lives and give us eternal joy, peace, and happiness. How true it is. Next question, do we experience things of beauty only for short moments or do they make a lasting impression on us? According to the poet, a thing of beauty never ceases to exist. Once beautiful things come into our life, it stays with us forever and gives us unending joy, peace, happiness. Therefore, a thing of beauty makes a lasting impression on us. This is the last question from your textbook questions. What images does the poet use to describe the beautiful bounty of the earth? The beautiful bounty of earth is described by the poet as endless fountain of immortal drink that pours down to earth from the edges of heaven. Despite all trials and tribulations faced by mankind, the things of beauty give unto us the gods themselves, fill our lives with never ending peace, joy, and happiness.